Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. As for the remaining allegations in the rippling SEC case that were not addressed at summary judgment, I believe that any chance of a settlement was basically extinguished earlier today. In this video, I'll show you how Ripple's responded viciously on Twitter to the SEC's complaint against them. This is fantastic, you guys. If you haven't already, I highly recommend watching this video in which Ripple identifies the SEC and proves that the SEC is a bad actor trying to harm the cryptocurrency industry. I was completely taken aback by what I observed this morning. It was perfect in my book. So, please don't miss this. But I also want to show you an insider tip we recently had from a Coinbase employee talking about what the SEC was anticipating from them before the SEC filed their lawsuit, which I will do at the very end of the video. I also agree with the SEC's recent decision to bring charges against a Bitcoin market participant. If you want to see that, you'll have to watch the whole video. You should definitely check it out. I will keep my word. Since that is the case, I'll kick off the film with the great footage that Ripple and Stuart Elder-Roddy shared on Twitter this morning. He slams the FTC for advocating for the possibility that Bitcoin coins are securities in and of themselves. When I initially watched this film after it was made public by Ripple, I was shocked at how vicious the characters were. They criticized the SEC and revealed all of its fraudulent actions. If there's one thing I can say about this film, it's that it immediately disqualified any possibility of a settlement between Ripple and the SEC due of the scathing nature and directness with which this piece criticized the SEC. I just can't believe they'd leak this in the midst of summit negotiations. What happened here was fantastic, and it conveys an important message to the Bitcoin industry as a whole. One that I don't believe will go down well with the SEC. But pay attention, and then make up your own mind. Remember the connection between the two orange trees, the whiskey barrels, and the digital assets. The phones also allow us to remember the beavers, right? It would seem to be quite a few. In and of themselves, none of these things is a security. Any of these terms can be included in an investment agreement. Okay, let me elaborate on that. The law defines a wide variety of things as securities. Common ideas like stock and why is the stock share secure at all times are included. If you buy Apple stock from anyone, you still owe the company a fiduciary obligation and can sue them for breach of contract if they don't live up to their end of the bargain. The law also applies to an investment contract. A guarantee is one of the considerations. Common stock is not the same as a financial contract. And anyone who tries to persuade you otherwise is, to put it bluntly, misleading you. Even though I could sell you a lot of orange groves on the promise that I will use the money you give me to engage in activities that will increase the value of your investment, what I have just described is an investment contract. You can either help me cultivate and market the groves in exchange for a share of the revenues, or I can sell you a piece of the orange groves outright. That right there is an investment agreement. That is to say, I will offer you orange groves directly, and whether I sell them to you or you buy them on an exchange, there will be no investment contract guaranteeing the success of those orange groves. All of those promises added together make up an investment contract, making the whole thing a security. The orange groves are interesting, but they aren't much by themselves. A digital token, according to this line of thinking, is a digital asset. Safety is not possible. It's nothing more than a commodity or digital currency. It has value as a substitute for real money online. It's possible to trade it like gold, oil, or pig's stomach. Some individuals have been attempting to confuse you for years, so I guess I can't say that I blame you. They really take it personally when orange groves aren't covered by SEC regulations that apply solely to stocks. Maybe it's a requirement of theirs that everything must be a nail. However, the way the law works is not like that. There is a clear need to safeguard retail Bitcoin users from scammers, but the SEC isn't the only game in town. Falsely asserting jurisdiction where none exists is a purely political move. It's bad for everyone and helps no one. Remember that a token on its own is not a binding investment agreement. No matter what the SEC tells you, I hope that helps. As a result, it's safe to say that the film effectively communicated its intended message. The SEC is attempting to introduce new legislation. They are trying to designate cryptocurrencies as securities despite the fact that the law makes it clear that they are not. The SEC is bringing this case against Ripple because they want to control digital assets and are unhappy that the law does not provide them control, as Stewart has already explained. The SEC has spent a lot of time and effort in recent years trying to get this conspiracy theory out there. I think Ripple provided a really solid response there. This clarifies why the coin itself is never the security and should be obvious to anyone who has been having trouble grasping this concept. People still get this wrong on a regular basis, even now. This video is only one good example of the many that can be given to show that this is not the case. The SEC is fully informed at this point. They're just trying to inject some uncertainty into the marketplace. But they can't win this battle. Ripple and Stuart Eldorado, who created this amazing film, are both unable of doing this. As I indicated earlier in the film, this confirmed my belief that a settlement was out of the question. To put it plainly, the SEC was severely slighted by this. It takes use of one of their fundamental flaws. As much as I enjoy this film, I am disappointed by the implication that we will not get compensated. The SEC, however, has no intention of ever helping this industry in any manner, making cooperation nearly difficult. Despite the fact that everyone would benefit from a settlement, Ripple is likely avoiding it for this very reason. As a result, I would rank this as a close second. John Deaton once said, "Sometimes you just have to punch a bully in the nose." In this instance, Ripple accomplished exactly that, and I think they did an excellent job. I'd want to continue by talking about two more things happening right now. We were just lamenting the SEC's terrible regulatory practices. Take note that the SEC gave Coinbase fair warning before you sue them. If you include all assets except Bitcoin on your site, we'll drop our case against you. The SEC's unexpected claim here shows their true interests in the industry. They plan to attack it with all their might. They want to stop everything and make it all over. And this is a huge change from the SEC's normal procedures. Many people, including Gary Gensler and the Securities and Exchange Commission, do not consider all coins to be securities. Payment tokens are not securities, as stated by Jay Clayton, and Gary Gensler estimates their non-security market share to be 75%. Coinbase IPO was also approved by Gary Gensler, a sign that he considered the company to be credible for the most part. The SEC is currently using the threat of legal action and the fear of enforcement as a nuclear bomb on the sector in an effort to coerce Coinbase into complying with its demands. Everything about this is revolting. It shows that the SEC isn't interested in proactively engaging with the government or developing clear laws to allow these assets to register. No. Instead, they're intent on undermining it, creating roadblocks, and stopping any and all initiatives that aim to do the right thing. To put it plainly, this is absurd. The Metal Lawman brings up some pretty valid points as well. Because of this concept, the Supreme Court has grave concerns. Therefore, political appointees are powerless to alter the legislation or address the market's murky industries. It has been speculated that the recent proliferation of cases involving the theory of the major questions may present a significant challenge for the SEC. And as Metal Lawman just remarked, this is an egregious example of the SEC specifically breaching this, and I believe it will cause them significant problems in the future. After all, this statement tells you all you need to know about the SEC's goals. I feel like I owe the SEC a compliment towards the end of this movie after being so critical of them throughout. The SEC has been on Richard Hart and the Hex adjustments in a serious way recently. Here on this station, this project has always struck me as a blatant scam, therefore I have never brought it up. I was afraid to even let the sun hit it. Even while the SEC did take action today, it was far too late to capture the scheme before it attracted so many investors. As a result, I have very little respect for the SEC. In the end, though, I'm just relieved that they seem to be after a legitimate scam. It has been very costly to the public in terms of both time and money to go after enterprises like the Ripple Coinbase and Library. It's ridiculous. At least one bad actor in the business is being sued by the SEC, which bodes well for the future. Since Ripple and Stuart Eldorado have made their dishonest tactics clear, it's funny that the SEC isn't even trying to argue that the HEX token itself is the security in this instance. Even the SEC is coming around to the idea that tokens themselves cannot be considered securities. This is a criminal offense. It's illogical and doesn't serve any purpose. In light of what transpired with Ripple, it is clear that even the SEC, who is prosecuting these illicit individuals, is hesitant to make such assertions, lest they, too, have their entire case undermined by a single false statement. In my opinion, it just attests to the significance of Ripple's achievements before the SEC. The SEC initially had a simple case, but now they're going into it with their collective tails between their legs. I think they're doing the right thing by looking into HEX. I'm delighted to see that Ripple has seriously dethroned the SEC, but I do agree with this. As if the effectiveness of their stream wasn't bad enough already, Gary Gensler must be going through hell as he sees this trending on Twitter. Please remember to like and subscribe if you found this update entertaining. See you soon, bye.